Hello YouTube, how are you today? Well, this topic is close to my heart because I'm a professional driver, and what they're trying to do is another money grab, okay, regarding marijuana and driving. CBC and the National came out with a story just a few days ago that this 18-year-old kid got into an accident. I'm not sure the details, whether or not it was his fault or what the story is, but I put it to you that it's this way. Was it the marijuana, or was it just that he was a bad driver? Okay, and it's that simple. Okay, I mean, we're talking one accident here, and they're calling wolf. Okay, out of how many thousands and thousands of drivers we have in this country, they're calling wolf over one driver. There has not been a proper study in relation to marijuana and driving. There has been on alcohol and driving. Okay. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because when it comes to medical patients, okay, on marijuana, okay, in the States, they have a very low thing related to the driving aspect. And the fact of the matter is, if you are a medical patient on marijuana, you're DUI'd. You lose your car. That's the other thing, another money grab here. Anyway, you lose your car and you're facing a DUI charge, which means you lose your license for a year, you're going to pay heavily in fines, etc. So, if you are a medical marijuana user and you drive, this is in relation to you specifically, okay? Now, as of today, there has not been a proper study in relation to medical marijuana, marijuana and driving, okay? There has, however, been studies on alcohol and driving. Now, they come up with this big thing, one driver in all of Canada that tested positive for marijuana, and they say that, oh, that's the reason for the driving, or the accident, sorry. That may not be the case. It may be that he was just a shitty driver, okay, and want to blame it on the fact that, oh, he had marijuana in his system. Well, there's other contributing factors to having an accident just because of a person being on anything, really, okay? I mean, it may have not even been his fault. Who knows? They're not going into the details of the accident. They're just saying this guy had marijuana in his system, and he was 18 years old. Oh, we have a big problem. And so on. The RCMP are testing roadside screening devices for detecting marijuana, but there is no way to tell, like, when that person smoked a joint last. Okay, it's just the fact that you have THC in your system. Okay, same as any other drug test. Now, marijuana and driving, in my opinion, is not an impairment, okay? And I'm proof of that. I mean, myself, personally, I am proof of that. I am a professional driver, have been driving professionally for over 30 years. I have had marijuana in my system, and I haven't had one accident contributing as a contributing factor, that the fact of THC being in my system, okay? It's not an impairment, okay? And they're coming up with this, saying it's an impairment. I mean, wake up, people. You don't know what you're talking about. First of all, the people that are saying that probably don't smoke marijuana at all and know nothing about it, okay? So there hasn't been a proper study in relation to this, and yet they're going to want to jump on the bandwagon in the very near future and come up with devices that are simply going to tell whether or not you've got THC in your system or not. That is not an impairment. okay, as far as, you know, having THC in your system, okay? So basically what this is coming down to, people, is that they are getting together to come up with another way of taking your money, your car, throwing you through the court system, and charging huge fines, and saying, okay, this is an impairment, when in fact there hasn't been a proper study, and it's in fact not an impairment. So here we're getting into an area here where, again, people, if we do not voice this concern over this, then the government is going to walk all over us citizens again and charge huge dollars and cause a lot of problems here. I say I'm all for doing a proper study on the subject. I mean, that I'm not saying don't do a study. I'm saying do a study first before going ahead and start making it legislation. One person in all of Canada that had an accident so far, that's what the CBC or the National is saying, is not a contributing factor here. We have billions of drivers in Canada, and you don't see them all over the fucking road, you know, hitting people as a result of smoking a joint. So it's not justified for them to come out and say, oh, all of a sudden we need laws in place because smoking a joint is an impairment. I am on the fence that says no, marijuana is not an impairment. And I'm proof of that myself. And I know a lot of other truck drivers. I'm not just the only one. I know of a lot of my buddies there out driving tractor trailers and smoking weed. And there's no great big contributing factor that these guys are causing major accidents. When legalization came into California, there was no big increase in the accident rate due to smoking marijuana. In fact, it went down. You know, so these guys that are jumping on the bandwagon saying that smoking marijuana is an impairment are bullshit. I'm telling you that right now, okay? And I know that for a fact because I've done it many times, and it is not an impairment because I have never had an accident due to smoking a joint. Okay? And I, like I said, drive tractor trailer. I mean, we're talking a lot of fucking weight on that fucking road. And if it was a real contributing factor, don't you think I would have got into an accident? No. Never have had an accident in a tractor trailer. Or in my own vehicle, put it that way. So, I caution you people to pay attention here, because they're trying to come out with screening devices that only tell whether or not you've got THC in your system or not. And this is going to relate to all of the medical marijuana patients, okay? This is going to put all of them off the road because they're all DUI'd, okay? Medical marijuana patients are going to be no longer able to drive if we don't start saying something about this and demand proper studies before any kind of legislation comes into effect. So I would say with that we need to voice our opinions, and this is another very important topic that is going to be coming up in the very near future. So ladies and gentlemen, do subscribe to the channel. Keep in touch with this channel, because we will put out petitions. We already have a petition right now with unemployment insurance, okay? And, you know, stuff like that. So do subscribe and stay in touch with the latest topics that we're coming up with. And they're very important topics because they gouge the pocketbook of the citizens of Canada and U.S. You know, I mean, that's why these topics are being raised, and you know, and also the unemployment insurance. Now we're trying to make an awareness that when your funds run out, you're driven into poverty. So we're talking about some very important subjects. So do subscribe and put a likes up or a comment. If you want to comment on this, by all means, I'm more than happy to listen to your comments and so on. And you know, let's get some conversation going on this, because this is coming, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. Okay, this is going to be the next big money grab for the Canadian government. Okay, and that is smoking and driving as far as marijuana is concerned. Okay, so I thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it gets some conversation going, because you know, it's going to become a big factor in the future. So thank you for watching.